You're listening to Release Your Resistance with Bex Beltran, episode 95. Welcome to Release Your Resistance. This is Bex. The only reason why any of us don't have what we want in life is because of our own resistance. Right now, I'm learning how to recognize and release my resistance, and this podcast tells you how you can release your resistance so that you can live the exact life that you want. Let's get started. Have you ever heard the expression, you can never listen to the same podcast twice? Maybe yes, if you've heard me say it to you before, or maybe not, since I think I made it up. That expression did not make it into either of the recent mantra episodes that I've posted, and you can never listen to the same podcast twice is not necessarily a mantra for life, but I do love reminding myself and other people that it is a fact. Sometimes when I'm walking or driving and listening to podcasts, an episode will come onto my feed that I have already listened to. And initially, I'll be a little disappointed that it came up when I meant to listen to something else, and if I can't immediately safely stop and change it. But then I remind myself that I can never listen to the same episode twice, and I will relax and start paying attention, and I always hear something new or different, or I get a new perspective that I didn't hear the first time that I listened to it. And I recently heard the claim that the mark of a good movie or book is that someone wants to watch or read it a second time, and when they do, they get more out of it. And I'm hoping if you end up re-listening to some of my episodes, you will get even more out the second time around. Since I had so much fun revisiting a topic from last year in last week's episode, I thought I would do it again this week with an episode remix. Now that I'm approaching 100 episodes, I wanted to give you a quick reference guide of specific individual episodes that you can listen to or re-listen to, depending on what is going on in your life at any given time. So I'm about to drop a bunch of recommendations and suggestions on you all in the next 15 minutes, but don't worry. You only need to remember one link to get to everything that I'm talking about today. It's bexb.org/remix, REMIX. And yes, I am going to remind you of this link again at the end of today's episode. So for some broad categories, let's label the possible re-listen times as when things are going great, when things are okay, and when things are terrible. I have a few episode suggestions for each of those categories, and I am so curious to hear which episodes have been your favorites and which episode you would recommend if someone is feeling great or feeling okay or when they're feeling terrible. Here are some episodes to listen to when things are great. Since things are going so well for you, it is the perfect time to notice the good things that happen in your life and consider why they happen. I am recommending that you listen or re-listen to the Last Best Thing model episode. To get the most out of this episode, it may be helpful to listen to the prequel episode about the tool called The Model and how it changed my life. But even if you don't want to go that far back, in the Last Best Thing model episode, I do give a quick overview of what that tool, the model, is, and then I share how you can plug whatever good thing that's happening for you into that model to discover what thoughts created all that goodness. And this is helpful for gratitude, for giving yourself credit, and hopefully you can find ways to use those powerful thoughts intentionally in other areas of your life as well. And since things are going so great, you may also be feeling pretty abundant and expansive and maybe even generous. So in the intangible generosity episode from the beginning of 2021, I shared so many different examples of how you can be generous. It's kind of interesting that I am including this recommendation in this category because when I wrote the episode, I don't think I was feeling great. And maybe that is what prompted me to write about my generosity misunderstanding. So go ahead and listen or re-listen to that episode to hear how you can practice intangible generosity. And I have one honorable mention for you while we're still focusing on when you are feeling great. And this might be the perfect time for you to come up with some new mantras for yourself to repeat when things aren't quite as good as they are now. And this topic only gets to be an honorable mention because just last week I did a follow-up episode sharing some new mantras that I've been using, but it is a really good episode, and this might be the reminder that you need to go back and re-listen to the original mantra episode from last year too, if you haven't already. Okay, let's move on to talk about which episodes you might want to listen to if you are feeling okay right now. If some things are going pretty well for you, while other things aren't as good. Maybe you would be interested in hearing some lessons I learned from a very unexpected source. Or maybe you feel like you're open for a change and you're curious about transformation. The main episode that I have to bring up for this category when things are going okay is about the topics that really showed up for me when my life was okay, before what I considered my major life transformation about 5 years ago. And leading up to 2015, so many important concepts made their way into my awareness and my life and helped me move from okay to great. So I shared the sources and the reasons why I believe my life has been so much better in the past few years. So go ahead and check out the episode called 6 Concepts That Changed My Life. And if things are going pretty okay for you right now and you are feeling good, you might also be open for a change. So I have a few suggestions to direct you to that as well. The first one has been getting some attention lately, and I'm not exactly sure why. Maybe this episode has been linked to from another site, or maybe people are just searching for the words in the title organically. And it's 5 lessons I learned from Zumba. And even just skimming some of the lessons without hearing the context, you know it's a really good episode with ideas like momentum works. And also, you can recognize that you don't need to stay in a situation that is not serving you. And another mantra-worthy expression, seasons change and it's fine. That Zumba episode is overflowing with good stuff. Another ideal episode to listen to if things are okay for you right now, not great, not terrible, is all about how you can transform your life to be even better. And I share a few different types of transformation for you to consider the transformation that you want in your life in the episode called Transformation. And don't confuse that episode from early 2020 with the 5-year transformation episode that I shared in August of this year. But that's a good one too if you are curious about how my life has transformed over a 5-year period and where I think it might be going. Do you ever look at your life in 5-year increments? Do you think this might be a good time to reflect on your recent 5 years? What kind of transformation do you want for yourself? Let's talk about some episodes for you to listen to when things are terrible. The most obvious episode to listen to if things are terrible for you is my explanation of 3 options you could use that make up the terrible triad. We've all felt terrible about something or about someone or about ourselves, and you could immediately try to change the situation. I don't necessarily recommend that option, though. You could also just wait for it to work itself out. That option carries some risk. In the Troubleshooting Terrible episode, I share a better option for you. Can you guess or remember what it is? You've got to go listen to hear why I think management is the best option when things are terrible. And another episode for when something is feeling terrible that might seem pretty obvious from the title is Pep Talk. But instead of a generic "this too shall pass" type of encouragement you might expect, in this episode I share 2 specific suggestions for you in a very non-traditional pep talk. And I even share a fun metaphor for cognitive dissonance. Who knew? And one of my most favorite episodes that I frequently direct people to when they just want to try out my podcast is the Everything and Nothing episode. I guess I think of this episode as one of my most powerful ones, even if it's only powerful for me to think about. I really built it up when I first published it early in 2020 by promising that I was sharing the secret to the universe in the episode. And I share why I truly believe that the only thing you control is your own thinking, and that everything else is outside of your control. And I want to convince you that understanding the everything and nothing secret, you control everything inside of your mind and nothing outside of it. It's so liberating and really can make everything better. So those are a handful of episodes that you can listen to depending on how you are feeling. Now you know where to go when things are great or okay or terrible. Did I leave anything out? Are you wondering about another category that I should have included? I do have a few extra situational ideas for you too. Each of the episodes that I want to remind you of next are also worthy of a re-listen. In the birthday list episode, I share a fun, celebratory, and personal way that you can set goals for yourself and see your own progress and transformation as you grow year after year. And I hope you can hear from my own personal experience with making birthday lists how much this works and how much I love my birthday list making practice. And of course, since this practice involves writing and list making, I created a specific notebook centered completely around the birthday list practice. As you think about what you might want to give other people as birthday gifts, you could consider giving someone this fun little notebook along with a link to the episode explaining the process. And recently, at one of my in-person journaling meetups, someone brought up the suggestion of using one of our sessions as a time to create vision boards together. And I could feel myself getting very agitated and probably visibly twitchy because I do have such strongly held beliefs about the right way to create a vision board. And I share those very opinionated ideas both in the vision board episode and in a recorded vision board workshop that you can get to on the free resources page of my website at bexb.org/free. I believe that a vision board is your own self-created, personalized marketing piece, and I don't think you can just show up one afternoon in a room with scissors and a glue stick and a stack of magazines to create it. So if you are ready for a little vision board attitude, go check out that episode or that workshop. And finally, do you dream? Some people don't dream. I do. And I love interpreting dreams, my own and other people's. And it isn't uncommon for a friend or a family member to call or text me to share what they dreamed about last night. And it's even more common for me to write out a crazy dream that I had the night before when I'm journaling in the morning. So in the How to Interpret Your Dreams episode, I teach you how to interpret dreams, and I share my 3-step proven process that you can use to interpret your own dreams. And since the time of that recording, Of course, I have created a companion dream journal that outlines the steps and gives you space to record and interpret your dreams. Remember in season 1, I used to highlight one of my favorite teachers on the first Friday of each month. So if you are looking for a teacher or a mentor or an author or another podcast recommendation, you might want to listen to what I love and appreciate and what I learned from all of my favorite teachers. And as I've been putting all these recommendations and ideas together for you for today's episode, I've been reminded that I frequently think that I should create an episode index on my website so that people can easily find a specific episode rather than having to scroll through dozens and dozens of episodes on their app or on their device or on my site. So, would you find an episode index helpful? Would you use it? How do you find episodes that you want to listen to or re-listen to for a specific way that you are currently feeling or about a specific topic that you want to learn more about? And did you know that I have started to put the earlier Release Your Resistance episodes from last year onto YouTube? I am converting the episodes and uploading them just 1 or 2 per week as a way to make this seemingly overwhelming project more manageable for myself. So far, I have 44 of last year's episodes converted and posted on YouTube. So that's 16 hours of content. And if you are feeling generous and helpful or curious, you could go to my YouTube channel and subscribe, maybe even re-listen to the first 44 episodes to give each of those videos some views. And also, of course, feel free to comment so that YouTube knows that you liked them, and maybe it will suggest those episodes to other people who are looking for the same type of content too. So I am going to link everything that I have shared with you today, including the episode recommendations, the corresponding notebooks, the new YouTube channel, and everything in the show notes for this episode at bexb.org/remix, REMIX. And you can also share your feedback, your comments, your ideas with me in the comments on that page. Or, as always, you can just send me an email at hi@bexb.org. And I also wanted to let you know about some other ways that we can connect either in email, online, or in person in the coming weeks. So next week, I will be sending out the November Notebook newsletter where I preview in a video some of the newer notebooks and journals in the shop. And also, I will share some helpful information about note-taking, list-making, or writing. So make sure you are subscribed to the Notebook newsletter by going to bexb.org/newsletter. And just to make it super easy, I will, of course, also leave a link on the episode page that I just mentioned, bexb.org/remix. If you want to meet me on Zoom and have a voice-to-voice or face-to-face conversation with me from the comfort of our own locations, on the first Thursday of each month, I host Pod Club. So next Thursday, November 4th, 2021, we will be discussing an interview with the author of the book, The Gratitude Diaries. So please listen to that episode and then join us in Pod Club for our discussion. And then if you want to say hi to me in person, on Sunday, November 14th, 2021, from 1 to 4 p.m., I will be participating in a fundraising shopping event with the Notebook and Journal Shop that benefits the Paint for a Cure organization that helps families coping with ALS. So this is going to be in Scottsdale on November 14th, and you can get more information about Pod Club and the shopping fundraiser on my website at bexb.org/let's meet. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope you enjoyed hearing an episode remix, and I hope you go re-listen to another episode now. This has been Release Your Resistance. Thank you for listening. If you like this podcast, make sure you're subscribed and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Also, think about someone who you know who would love this episode and share it with them. There should be a share button on your app if you're listening to this on your phone. If you'd like to continue this conversation one-on-one or in real time, come visit me on my site at bexb.org to see how we can work together.